Hey, this is Dr. Ryan Weaver here. Have you ever felt older than you really are? What about the opposite of that? Have you ever felt younger? Maybe that there were certain things that made you feel older or made you feel younger. And the biggest question I have to that is, did you repeat those or did you let them go to the wayside? And what were your actions to that? Did it potentially even cause you to change something about your routine or how you looked at certain things? So today, that's what we're going to be talking about, is function versus feeling. How does something make you feel? And are we so concerned about that we actually forget what the long picture is here? What's our long-term goal? But first, we're going to start with the end of this workshop in mind, which ironically enough is the beginning of life and how that starts. So before I get started, again, these spinal workshops, we do these every week because what we find is the more that patients are engaged or our community is engaged in such educational criteria and workshops, we find help people stay engaged in their health to continue to strive to be the best version of themselves. So as I said, we're going to start with the beginning of life. And our brain and our nervous system is the very first thing to develop. So if you look at embryology, that is one of the first things, is the first thing to develop. And without our brain and our central nervous system, so if I reference this here in a minute, the CNS, central nervous system, our whole body couldn't function. All of our systems are controlled by this. And this begins with the first steps of differentiation. It is the nervous system, which is the first to differentiate tissue. And then from this sparks the initial and innate ability of all of our other organ systems to continue to develop for the next 9 months. You will hear us in our office call this the 9-month miracle. But I want you to think about this. What is the only organ system that is covered completely by bone? Once again, our central nervous system. Our brain and spinal cord are the only things totally wrapped and covered in bone. Again, it's the first to develop. It's the first to develop before all other systems, and it's completely encased in bone. So, we're going to memorize that, as I said, beginning of life, but the end of the story. So let's get into function versus feeling. All too often our medical system is but our medical system is concerned with, how are you feeling? How are you feeling? How are you feeling? One of the things that we use as a marker of our health, and it should be used more so, is inflammation. How inflammation causes chronic disease. Now, with that being said, our nervous system begins to deteriorate at 20 years of age, 100 billion cells, okay? By 40, we lose up to 10,000 cells a day. That's about 1 to 3 million per year after the age of 40, okay? So back to our inflammation part of that. The causes of chronic disease. A low-grade chronic inflammation independently predicts coronary heart disease better than high cholesterol and high blood pressure. So we're going to pause on that. You oftentimes hear about our cholesterol, our blood panels, our blood pressure, but how often are we monitoring chronic inflammation? C-reactive protein, or CRP, is one of the easiest ways to monitor this. Inflammation is also linked to insulin resistance syndrome, also known as diabetes. So how can we help this? We know that one of the things that causes us to deteriorate and lose function is inflammation. Well, good mental attitude. First, reduce stress on ourselves, exercise, water, eat healthy foods, and get checked for and remove subluxations of your spine. Finishing where we left off on that comment, adjustments. Some research has shown swelling and edema happens at a subluxated joint. and results in the production and release of small molecules called neuropeptides. These can lead to inflammation chronically. Adjustments to restore the proper biomechanics reduce inflammation, which would otherwise cause chronic inflammation. Adjustments are shown to reduce the production of two inflammatory cytokines, TNF alpha and interleukin-1 beta. This means that adjustments not only reduce inflammation, but also reduce the whole body's inflammation, okay? So maybe something that you've heard to take for inflammation, and most commonly is an NSAID. Aspirin, ibuprofens, Tylenols, we can go on down through this list and name those. The previous time that I did this talk, function versus feeling, we referenced that there is an increased risk of bleeding and visible damage to the small intestines with taking such NSAIDs. 71% showed visible signs of damage in the intestines after only 90 days of NSAID usage. More people die from NSAID-related complication, yes, I said died from, than AIDS and cervical cancer in the US, which is 16,500 per year. 103,000 hospitalizations from NSAIDs per year as well. So if you think of inflammation, I just had a seminar in Hilton Head, and looking out over the shore and the beach, and you see the waves coming in. And inflammation is much like the waves, that it slowly, continuously, low activity, but it's consistent, stimulates other bad events, and it wears away at the beach, just like this wears away at our health. The Center for the Study of Aging at Duke University, Harvey J. Cohen, chairman of the Department of Medicine and director of the center, said such. And also, we not mentioned exercise. We lose 1 to 3% of muscle mass per decade after the age of 50, unless we do at least 3 times a week of regular weightlifting. So again, good mental health, get rid of stressors, eat healthy foods, exercise, drink plenty of water, and get checked for subluxations. So one of the shocking things about America, the life expectancy in America, in the US, ranked 36th in the world. But yet we spend more money on healthcare than anyone else. So thinking about this is our choices. We choose how to live our life. We most commonly choose unhealthy habits. We're a society that wants instant gratification. We want it biggie-sized, super-sized, and we want to spend less energy and time exercising, journaling. We just want a pill or surgery to make it go away. We're not willing to change the culture of our own health. A JAMA article in July of 2000, is U.S. health really the best in the world? Posed that healthcare is the third leading cause of death in the U.S., directly responsible for between 230 and 284,000 fatalities per year. So not only are we choosing to make other choices that are killing us, but also our healthcare system is doing the same. So I often get posed, well, what does healthcare cost? Johns Hopkins Hospital Medicare spending in the final 2 years of a patient's life amounted to $85,000, almost $86,000. The longevity myth by Steve Salerno, reported in Skeptic magazine in 2010. Some estimate that 70% of what you would spend on healthcare in your lifetime is spent in the final 2 years of life. So I got posed this question recently. Well, what about genetics? Well, genetics accounts for 30%. Maybe you have to work a little harder than some. And maybe some things are inevitable. But 70% is under our direct control. That was from Vonda Wright, orthopedic surgeon, author of Fitness Over 40, and director of the Performance and Research Initiative for Masters Athletes at the University of Pittsburgh. We are our own worst enemy. We damage our ability to optimize our youth. We poison ourselves. We break down our tissue. We rob ourselves of nutrition and nutrients. And we deprive ourselves of stress relief. So, I'm more interested as a healthcare provider of how you're healing and how you're functioning, not how you're feeling. When we start putting in the forefront of how we're healing, are we taking the proactive measures, then we heal very, very well. Easy example, if you get a cut on your arm, your body knows how to heal itself. Your body is trained, its innate ability to do so. At times, are some things necessary? Sure. But a lot of this is under our control. So I challenge you to first and foremost, as we know our nervous system is the most important thing in the beginning of life, have your spine checked for subluxations. These not only can help improve your feeling, but more importantly, your healing and how you function, because we want to function as long as we can and do the things that we love to do. So I hope you found some of this information beneficial, and we'll look forward to seeing you at our next spinal workshop.